Hello, guys. I first off want to apologize. Welcome to the Arca Racing podcast. Literally, as the second I tried to go live, my computer crashed. So, want to apologize first and foremost to the people who were trying to join me live. My computer literally crashed the second I went live. So, first off, I want to apologize to that. But I want to thank you guys for joining me for this episode of the Arca Racing podcast. This new little microphone, I am trying to try something a little new. So, for the people who are watching, please let me know in the chat if you can hear me properly. If not, I can scoot it more forward. But please make sure, first and foremost, you guys can hear me. Anyway, guys, boy, it's been one of those days. But thank you guys for joining into the Arca Racing podcast. It's great to be back. We finally got some West action to review. We had a very, very wet race in Portland. That saw just another dominating performance by the Sunrise Ford team. Jake Drew winning by just a huge margin, well over 10 seconds. We also got to preview Iowa, my stuff with Brad this weekend. And we also got the West race from Sonoma. Big show for you guys today. So I thank you all for joining me live. Of course, follow me on social media at Start and Park Car. If you guys love the Start and Parks of NASCAR, if you guys like seeing pictures of the Start and Parks of NASCAR, give me a follow. Love posting those every day. At least try to post maybe 2 a day. Like and subscribe to the channel. I got a very, very special Arca video coming out. A lot of you guys may not have heard of this driver, but I hope by the end of that video, you guys will now get an idea of who this was. Not going to reveal the name, but it will be released in the next couple days, and I really hope you guys will like that video. But anyway, guys, let's get right into the show. So Portland, we knew that this race was going to be wild, and I'm still in agreement that Jake Drew definitely got screwed out of that race last season. For when Taylor Gray won last year, for the guys who joined me for that podcast last year. So I was quite interested to see how this year's race would go. We didn't have as big of a field again. We had 18 cars on the original entry list for this race, but unfortunately, 2 of them withdrew. The 05 of Dave Smith wound up withdrawing from the field, and one other car would also withdraw. Don't quite remember who that was. I'm trying to get to the website right now. I apologize, guys. My internet has just been really bad today, so bear with me as we're going live on the show. I'm going to try to keep up with this, but my internet's been really bad. So just bear with me for a second, guys, if I have to take a second or two to get everything ready. But we had only 18 cars. And again, guys, I went over this last week. I really do think that the real world issues have really played an issue with the Arca West field. And I think that's why the car counts really have been down this year. It was the 77 of Clark Lukens. Okay, so that was the 18th entrant that actually had withdrawn. So the 05 of Dave Smith and the 77 of Clark Lukens were the 2 cars that unfortunately withdrew from this race. And also, unfortunately, due to the wet conditions, Dale Quarterly and Paul Pedroncelli, Sr., who actually was supposed to run this whole race. Paul had run the whole race last year, but running very conservatively, not damaging the car at all. So to answer anyone's questions from last week, yes, the 31 was actually supposed to run the whole race this weekend, but obviously with the rain, no way they're taking that chance. And then Dale Quarterly, the car was not ready. You can't really afford the damage. Dale doesn't have much equipment. Plus, Dale is on the entry list for this weekend's race at Sonoma. So you don't want to damage the car. Just, start the race, get the money, and then keep the car safe. So that's understandable right there. So the unfortunate part is we had 2 cars withdraw. So that took us down to 16. And then the worst part was we had 2 cars start and park after lap 1. So that took us down to 14. So right out of the gate, we are unfortunately down to just a 14-car field on a near 2-mile road course. So, but still, despite the short field, that did not mean there was not a lot of entertainment in this race. We did have some surprise entries. The 43 of Daniel Dye was entered in this race. We would then later to come find out that this was actually a Bill McNally Racing entry fielded in collaboration with GMS Racing, which makes a lot more sense because I would not have expected the GMS Arca team to go all the way from Charlotte to Portland just for an Arca race. To me, that just did not make any sense. So, them getting a deal together with McNally, because now McNally's a Chevrolet team, that makes a heck of a lot more sense. We also had some other entries in the race that I also didn't know. Vince Little, not sure if he's related to the Little family, but he was in this race. And then, of course, we had Takuma Koga, and I think this is the funniest part for me and why I still love the Arca West series. We had Takuma Koga and Joey East running the Gen 4 5-star steel body. I don't know if they were actual steel bodies because 5-star bodies still makes a Gen 4 body design, but it was always cool seeing the Gen 4 bodies go up against the Gen 6 bodies. It's always so cool to see that. And they still have speed. I think it's just Takuma. I would honestly say that this race was one of Takuma's best races in general. He put on an amazing performance and really showed good speed for a guy who's really struggled and gotten a lot of criticism for his driving. Practice and qualifying did happen. Not sure if it happened in the rain. As you guys know, I was in Gateway, so I didn't really get to see any of this. Daniel Dye was on the pole. He beat the field by well over half a second. Jake Drew was second. Connor Mosak was third. Tanner Reff was fourth. And the veteran Todd Souza was fifth. Only 14 of the 16 entries decided to make a qualifying lap, the slowest one being Dale Quarterly. So the race had started. One minor note, the 39 of Andrew Tuttle, poor Andrew Tuttle. For anyone who watched this race, the 39 had a rear suspension issue, so the car was hanging way backwards. And I mean way backwards. This car was not even set up. Thank God the rain conditions allowed everyone to go slower, but he was limping this car around. I don't think he was even running minimum speed. If you watch the race, there is no way that 39 was even making minimum speed in the rain. So, I mean, props to Andrew Tuttle. I know he does a lot with a very little. He doesn't have a lot of money. But, man, poor Andrew Tuttle. The terrible, no good, very bad day for sure. But anyway, we had all 16 cars start the race. It was even shown on the broadcast, both the 32 and the 31 going to the garage area. So for anyone who wanted to see what those cars looked like, they were shown on the broadcast if you want to go back and watch it. But early leader, Tanner Reff got the lead, only held it for about a lap. And then Connor Mosak, the veteran road racer who does run on the Trans Am circuit, he took the lead. But they didn't take the green flag together as first corner of the first lap, the 43 and the 6 just go flying right off the course. And I'm just like, that's Arca in a nutshell right there. Of course, something like that would happen. Yeah. The 43 of Daniel Dye, the 6 of Jake Drew, not even close to making turn one. Both of them went sailing off the corner. Barely touched the wall. The 6 just barely nudged it. The 43 missed it, but that just killed their races in the early going. But luckily, since they were the two fastest guys in the field, they quickly caught up to the other cars in the field and quickly got back up into the top 5. Meanwhile, like I said, the 9 of Tanner Reff had taken the early lead, but in just 2 laps, the 17 of Connor Mosak had gotten past him. And it looked like that Connor Mosak was definitely going to be the car to beat because, right there, he had the road racing experience and he had a good car under him as the Steve McGowan team is a very, very well-funded and competitive organization. So he would lead up until the first caution at lap 9, which again, for Andrew Tuttle, he would actually be going so slow, he got lapped. Before he would bring out the first caution, he actually got lapped on track because he was going so slow. And again, a lot of these guys have no experience in the rain. I'm not sure if Andrew's ever raced in the rain, so you just want to take extra precautionaries. I understand that. But man, you mix going slow for precautionary reasons and the suspension issue, this guy was in the way. And it'd not be the only time that Andrew was in the way. Makes me astonished that he actually still finished this race. So meanwhile, the 6 and the 43 were climbing their way back through the field. The 99 of Cole Moore during the first run of the day had come down pit road for a windshield wiper issue. The 4 of Eric Nascimento had come over. The car was overheating. The 85 went for a spin. Despite only 14 cars running the whole race, there was so much action on track. Everybody was having some sort of issues. So it was very fun. Despite the short field, we had so much going on. And that's what I was happy to see, because I was really worried that after lap 1, with all these cars pulling off and just 14 cars on this 2-mile road course, I was really worried that the race was going to suffer because of it. Thankfully, it didn't. It did get dull at some points. I mean, that was going to happen, but not for the entire thing like I had originally predicted. So the first caution had come out. Some cars had decided to pit. It was not against the rules to pit in this race. You were allowed to come in. Because of the rain that was causing havoc, all the rules, basically the rules were getting changed on the fly. If you listen to the broadcast, even Charles Crawl, the commentator, was having just a little bit of confusion with all these issues changing all the time. So these teams could add fuel under the caution. They did not have to wait until that competition caution, and they could not change tires as the rain was expected to stay for the entire race. Therefore, they would not need a second set of rain tires because these tires were very durable and they weren't really going fast enough to wear out the tires at all. So we got back to green on lap 14, and by that point, it was pretty much the class of the field. Jake Drew was able to catch back up, took the lead from the 17 of Connor Mosek, who had pitted. I think the funniest part was watching Jake Drew and Takuma Koga lead the field back to the green flag. Yes, Takuma Koga led the field back to the green flag in the second position. And like I said, he held his own there for a couple laps. I mean, yeah, he was no match for the Sunrise cars, but Takuma really held good speed. So that was good to see. Yeah, and Jake Drew was just smoking. I mean, yeah, the 17 can keep up with him. Yeah, the 13 was also there, but they were no way going to pass him. It was very obvious from the beginning that to win this race, for Jake Drew not to win this race, he was going to basically have to wreck himself or go off track and get a penalty. Jake Drew was just that fast, and there was a lot of rain on the track. I'm really surprised this race went as long as it did, because that rain really almost made it undrivable. These cars were barely hitting 40 to 50 miles per hour in some of these corners. Another shout out, Bridget Burgess also ran a great race. For another girl who hasn't raced on many road courses in her career, she also excelled in her performance in this race. I feel like everybody in this race really showed a lot of performance that you really wouldn't expect from them in this race. One of the championship contenders that did suffer was Paul Pedroncelli Jr., PJ. Just not really a rain racer either. And he was struggling way more than everyone else. He fell back and actually fell a lap done, which hurt his day. And the best he could do was 8th. That's just a little spoiler. So after that run, we ran 13 laps. Again, the 6 was just smoking the field. Some battles within the field. The 39 got in the way a couple more times. The 85 went for a spin. The 54 went for a spin. The 88 went off track. I mean, everybody was just going everywhere. We were just trying to get through the race. This was calamity. Until another couple laps later, the 54 would then stuff it into the last corner wall. No damage to the car. Basically, probably just wheel hopped and just couldn't control it and just lightly nudged into the barriers. There was no damage at all. These cars were going so slow that they were literally hitting the tire barriers and hardly, if any, damage was happening to the car. So that was the good thing. At least nobody was getting really damaged. And I would say that if anybody wanted to use the cars that they used in this race for Sonoma this weekend, they could, because there was hardly any damage to them. So that brought out the caution. It took them a while to get the 54 out of there because there was so much rain. They didn't want the car to get stuck. It was then during that caution that they did announce the race would be shortened, but they were not sure which lap it would be shortened on. Either way, they got the green again, and it's just like Jake Drew just had a rocket booster strapped him. He just took off. Even Connor Mosak, who I thought was going to be the class of the field with his road racing experience, could not keep up with him. And Jake Drew pulled out to nearly a 20-second lead in just 11 laps. He actually had begun lapping the back of the field. The 33 had went a lap down. The 16 had went a lap down. The 54 had went a lap down. The 4 and the 85 continued to go laps down. It was just calamity. And then the call came over with about 15 laps to go that we were going to 2 to go. So Jake Drew takes the white flag and cruises, not necessarily to an easy victory, but he does get a win. Was it his first career win? I don't think he won a race did he win a race last year? If anyone can confirm that for me in the chat. Charles Crow, I think he said it was his first win, but either way, Sunrise Ford continues their domination of this season. And Jake Drew gets a win. If it's his first career win, awesome. If it's another win, even more awesome. But there was still calamity to be finished. Connor Mosak got second. Todd Souza, great points day for him, gets third. Daniel Dye gets fourth. The 9 of Tanner Ref got wrecked on the last lap. So that meant now for 2 years straight, my man Takuma Koga gets 2 straight top 5s at Portland. So great run for Takuma and the Jerry Pitts racing team. Tanner Ref was fourth. Bridget Burgess, she went off in that last run and hit the wall. She was 7th. PJ Pedroncelli was 8th. Austin Herzog was 9th. Joey East was 10th. Cole Moore was 11th. Not a good points day for that team. Andrew Tuttle limped her home to 12th. Eric Nascimento was 13th. And Vince Little, the final car running, in 14th. With the 2 starting parks, Dale Quarterly in 15th and Paul Pedroncelli finishing the field in 16th. Like I said earlier, guys, despite the lack of cars in this race, a really fun race to watch, just like the Xfinity race was. And again, I like Portland, but I put out an article for one of my media sites saying, is the purse money worth it to go all the way out there? We saw on social media a lot of these teams complaining about the purse at Portland not being that good. And we'll go over that in tomorrow's episode of Backmarker Battles. We'll go more in depth about that. But I really hope that, the real world issues that we're seeing right now does not affect these West fields even more, because we've seen guys like when last year when they were getting over 20 cars a race, these West races were phenomenal. And this race that we saw on Saturday was really good. Was it phenomenal? No, but it was a very, very good race. Easily give it a 7 out of 10. Easily. Our point standings coming out of this race and heading into Sonoma. It's a very close race. 2 straight weeks for these West teams. Very unusual. So a lot of the time, these West teams do not go back-to-back weeks. But Jake Drew easily takes the points lead over his teammate, Tanner Ref. As of now, Jake Drew holds a 14-point lead over Tanner Ref. Cole Moore is now 21 points behind in third, and Todd Souza is down in fourth, minus 23. PJ Pedroncelli's in fifth, also minus 26. So yeah, Jake Drew really looking like he's the championship favorite right now. It's going to be tough to catch him. With these West fields not being as big as they usually are, a 26-point lead with an average of an 18-car field, it's really going to be tough. Sunrise Ford, man, I tell you, the switch to Chevrolet may have not been the best decision for Bill McNally Racing. They have not shown the speed at all this year that they had shown in the last couple years. Their Truck Series teams are doing fine. That's the weird part. The Truck Series teams for Bill McNally running Chevys, they're running great. But the Arca West teams running Chevys, it could be the drivers. It could be. But they are not running great at all. Austin Herzog, I know it's his debut season, but you're in a championship winning car. You need to start performing better. His performances this season, in my opinion, have um, not been what that team needs and not what that team deserves. They definitely deserve a better driver. And if I don't start seeing better performances out of Austin Herzog, I think he should be 1 year and done and get someone else in there that actually can drive. Like PJ. Imagine PJ Pedroncelli in that 16 car. Guarantee he'd go out there and win. That's just my personal opinion. But yeah, as of now, the championship standings are looking good for Sunrise Ford as they continue to hold the top two positions in the driver points and the owner's points. We got 7 people watching here. Just want to say again, thank you guys for joining me for this episode. I'm going to take a little sip of water, and then we'll get into our Sonoma preview. Got 7 people watching, only 1 like, so if we could get some more likes, be much appreciated, guys. We got one of my favorite racetracks on the Arca West schedule this weekend, Sonoma. I know it's a very popular track with you guys who are watching. It's just always been a fun track, no matter which style of track they run, where they run the carousel or they run the older dogleg version. It's just a lot of fun. It's a very fun track. The drivers love it. And fortunately, we got a bigger entry list than we did last year. Last year's race only saw 22 cars. Again, that was mainly because we were still recovering out of the pandemic, so it made sense why we didn't get the biggest field. But this year we got 24. Unfortunately, with the truck series, and I'm not going to lie, I am a little disappointed about this. With the truck series coming to Sonoma, that unfortunately takes away the Cup guys that would normally come down to the West series and run with the West drivers. I always liked that. I know people don't like the bushwhacking, when the drivers come down to the Xfinity series, but I thought it was always fun seeing the Cup drivers come down to the West circuit, the bottom tier rank of NASCAR, and go toe-to-toe with these West guys. And a lot of the time, they usually win, but not by easiness. It's always fun to see these West guys sometimes school these Cup drivers on the road courses because they're more experienced. Unfortunately, due to the fact that a lot of the Cup drivers are all the Cup drivers are running the truck races instead of the ARCA race. We won't have that this year, but we do have some truck guys. So the entry list is as this. I'm just going to go down from the order. The 4 of Sebastian Arias, the 6 of Jake Drew, the 7 of Takuma Koga, the 9 of Tanner Reff, the 13 of Todd Souza, the 16 of Austin Herzog, the 17 of Landon Lewis, the 21 of Jack Wood, the 31 of Paul Pedroncelli, 32 of Dale Quarterly, the 33 of PJ Pedroncelli, 39 of Andrew Tuttle, the 40 of Dean Thompson, the 52 of Ryan Philpott, the 54 of Joey East, the 68 of Rod Nealand, the 77 of Nick Jonades, the 80 of Brian Comiskey, the 85 of Vince Little, the 86 of Tim Spurgeon, the 88 of Bridget Burgess, the 91 of Colby Howard, the 99 of Cole Moore, and the 04 of Eric Nascimento Jr. So a great field of cars. Unfortunately, no Cup guys. I know you guys don't like the Cup guys coming down, and I know that, and I respect that. But I always like seeing these West guys go toe-to-toe with these Cup guys and really show off their talents and, maybe get some rides. I mean, look what happened to Will Rogers. It was the best thing that ever happened to him racing in that race with Kevin Harvick. But yeah, guys, a very solid entry list. And you guys heard me did say some truck guys. Yes, Jack Wood, Dean Thompson, and Colby Howard are running this race to gain some more seat time. Would really do them any better? Probably not. I don't think any of them are going to win. I would say my easy favorite to win this race would still be Jake Drew. Ryan Philpott's usually pretty good on these road courses. We know Dale Quarterly, his best road course is at Sonoma. Landon Lewis is good on the road courses. We know that too. Todd Souza, his only win was on a road course. A lot of contenders for this race. Now, like I said, 24 cars. This would be the opportunity race for the field to gain on Jake Drew. But I don't think Jake is going to necessarily have any issues unless that team sets that car up so poorly I don't see Jake finishing outside the top 5. Really don't. As for this race, I don't know who you guys are going to pick. I think it's anyone's game. There's not one car on this entry list that I can obviously point out to who's going to win. As for starting parks, I don't believe Paul Pedroncelli Sr. starting park this race last year. I think he did run the whole thing. I don't see anyone starting park in this race. I think all 24 entries are going to, if they all show up, first off, if they all show up, I think they will run the whole race. If you guys are wondering about payouts, give me 1 second. We will look up the payouts for this race. Again, my internet's been a little slow, so bear with me for a second. So yeah, it's the entry blank for Sonoma. The winner's payout for this race is $10,000, but pending they get all the contingency awards, first place is $16,600, 8,800 is for second, and 6,350 is for third. Again, out of 24 cars, that means last place, 24th, will pay $1,825. And of course, for every car that finishes 1st through 20th, they will get a $200 bonus from Flow Racing. So a lot of those little teams will be looking out for that $200 bonus, again, pending all 24 of those cars actually show up. So again, guys, a very stacked field, a very fun field of cars and teams. Very happy to see after, we only had 22 last year. I didn't want to see any less because I'm like, man, if we're still struggling to get 20 cars at Sonoma, that's kind of, I would say that's related to Daytona 500 for the West Series. You could say Phoenix is, but the West Series at Sonoma, I feel like has always been one of their biggest, if not the biggest event of the year, because we see some high-profile names run. We see some old school names from the past show up. I feel like Sonoma really is, if not the Daytona 500 for the West Circuit. And I'm excited for the race this weekend. Unfortunately, I will not see it. I'll have to watch the race when I get home because this race is taking place on the exact same day on this Saturday as the Iowa Arca race. So I will not see it. I'll have to watch it later on when Flow Racing uploads the whole thing. So unfortunately, I won't be able to watch it live with you guys, which sucks. But if I do have to give a race pick, if you guys really want me to give a race pick, and you guys can too, I would either have to say it would either be Jake Drew or Landon Lewis. Those are my two picks. I don't want to pick one of them. I'm just going to pick two of them if that's okay with you guys. But you guys can put your picks in the chat of who you guys think is going to win. And then we're going to quickly get on to Iowa. Of course, I got a lot of fun things for Iowa this weekend. But again, guys, Sonoma this weekend, I believe it's in the early part of the day. Not sure if it's before or after the truck race, but either way, guys, would strongly recommend you check out this race. It's always an entertaining race to watch. Very rarely, and I mean rarely, does the West race at Sonoma put on a stinker. They're always entertaining races. And man, I'll be shocked if this weekend's race with the field that we have does not put on a good show. So anyway, transferring into our last portion of the show, guys, the Arca Menard Series and Arca Menard Series West at Iowa Speedway, my home track. I will be there this weekend. Guys, I'm just telling you, I'm beyond excited. Hope you guys will definitely follow along with me, as I'll try to post as much as I can. The great news is, as for the entry list, we had the same amount of cars that we did last year. We had 24 on the original entry list, but we had a car withdraw, so that left us with 23. This year, we also have 23. But I have to say that looking at this year's entry list, I don't know if anyone's going to be starting parking. Right now for us, Brad, if we can just get a third guy, I don't know for right now how many crew guys we're going to be having. It could just be me and Brad again, and if that's the case, we will have to park early. But if we can just get a third guy, we could get some other guys to help over from the Hillenberg team, and we will run that whole race. So notable entries in the field. We got the 2 Rev entries. Tanner Allen will be making his debut, not Arca Series debut, but his debut for Fast Track Racing. In the 10 car, Bryce Haugberg returns in the 11. D.L. Wilson returns in the 12. Connor Jones returns to Venturini in the 15. Sammy Smith now permanently takes over the 18 for the rest of the season. Jesse Love returns to the 20. Connor Mosek is again in the 23. Tim Richmond returns in the 27 after having an engine issue at Charlotte. Ron Vandermeer Jr. is in a partnership with Jeff McClure in the 44. Jonathan Schaefer returns to the 55. Brandon Jones and Joe Gibbs Racing return to Iowa, where they hope to get 2 in a row. Stephanie Moyer returns for Andy Hillenberg. And Alex Clubb, although they wrecked the car at Charlotte, Alex Clubb and his team still hope to be there this weekend, and I really hope they are because Alex is one of my good friends. They just got their motor fixed, so if they do show up, they won't start and park. They will be there to race. I don't expect anyone to start and park this race. Even Andy Hillenberg, it looks like all 4 of the Hillenberg entries will be running this whole race, and that makes me excited too. And like I've said, guys, without Gibbs in the field, I look at this entry list. I can't really tell you guys, again, who's going to win. I can't. And that makes me happy. If I can't tell you guys straight out who's going to win or who's going to have the dominant car, that's a good thing. And the reason why I say that the 81 of Brandon Jones doesn't have the advantage, keep in mind, yes, he's won here before in the Can-Am circuit. That was almost 10 years ago. But the Xfinity Series has not run Iowa in almost 3 years. So you think about it, the track has gone through a lot of changes in 3 years. So I really think that the advantage that Brandon Jones, you could say he would have, would no longer be there. The track is all different. Heck, I would say that, Sammy Smith would probably have more than an advantage of him because he was there last year. I would say guys like Raja, guys like Sanchez, guys like Jesse Love would have more of an advantage than Brandon Jones because they were there the previous year. Brandon Jones, it's been almost 3 years since he's been to Iowa. So I definitely think that it's going to be a closer battle than some people think. I don't think that 81's just going to check out. It's good to see Venturini with 4 cars again. Definitely think Jesse Love is going to be the car to beat out of that stable. Like I said, no starting parks. I mean, we even know Zachary Tinkle. I wanted to shine a little bit of light on Zachary Tinkle real quick. I'm really curious to see what he does this weekend. He has gotten the most I have ever seen anyone get out of a Peterson entry. And we have seen him run amazing speed in that 06 for what that car can do. And I'm really curious with how much closer the field can be on short tracks. We know Zachary's run on short tracks his entire career up to this point, what he can do. I definitely think that Peterson car, I mean, I would easily say it could contend for a top 15 finish. Is that really out of the realm of possibility that Peterson car, if they have enough tires and they set up the car to Zachary standards, that car could get a top 15. I'm really not putting that out of the realm of possibility. Zachary Tinkle is a wheelman. I really wish he would get some more spotlight. I mean, what that kid did at Kansas just impressed the heck out of me. Outrunning the Rep Motorsports car and a Venturini car on pace with old tires. So I'm really curious about that. Like I said, guys, just if you had to give me another race pick, I would still go with Sammy Smith. I think he's going to be the car to beat, but I'm curious to see what Taylor Gray is going to do. I'm curious to see what Daniel Dye is going to do. Again, guys, it's going to be nice. Like I said, unlike last year, Ty Gibbs pretty much led flag to flag. He led 149 of the 150 laps last year. We're not going to have that this year. That makes me happy, number one. And like I said, guys, I can't predict the winner. That's always a good thing. And it looks like right now, we might actually only be the starting park. I don't want to say that, but if it's just me and Brad, there's no logistical way that we could run the car the full race unless somebody is literally willing to pit the car for us. And for anyone who doesn't know, Brad, we still have the old catch can gas system. We don't have the new electronic fuel injection. We still run the old school design where you still got to put that catch can in and then put the gas in. So We still need 2 people to do gas. We still need 1 guy to go around and check tires. So as of now, guys, I really can't guarantee whether we're running the whole race. But if we have a 3rd man there, I can say that we will probably try our best to run the whole distance. And that's what I want to do because we haven't run the whole distance. The last 2 years I was there with Brad, guys, we did not run the whole distance. In 2020, we had an engine going flat, so we decided to pull it in before it blew. And then, of course, like I said, guys, last year, it was just simply the 2 of us. No way possible to do it. It just makes me excited for a race like this. We have a lot of interesting storylines in there. Like I said, what can Tinkle do in the 06? And as for the points championship, it's so close. It's amazing how close this points championship still is. Rev Racing is still the class of the field pretty much every week. Raja Karuth is leading the point standings. Could not be any prouder with how he's performing this year. By Nick Sanchez over 5 points. Daniel Dye is sitting in 3rd, -7. Again, guys, this is one of those wild card races. We have a decent-sized field of cars here. 23 cars. If we saw last year, Sammy Smith had issues in this race in the 81 entry last year. It cost him a huge chunk of his points lead. Iowa's not a necessarily easy track. It's very wearful on tires. You got to get the setup right. So this is an opportunity race, and it's the same thing for the West Championship too. This is Taylor Gray's championship chance to really close on Sammy Smith for the East Championship, and the same for Leland Honeyman if that's possible. Taylor Gray right now is sitting 9 points out of the East Championship. I do want to point out, though, it is kind of sad. The only East guys that are actually here, no 60 car, no 85 car, no 1 car. With all due respect to the East Series, and I've been very, very critical on the East Circuit this year. You look at the entry list, guys, and really, what do you see on the East Circuit that's actually there? The only guys on the East Circuit that I believe are going to Iowa this weekend is Sammy Smith, Taylor Gray, and Leland Honeyman. Christian Rose is not going to be there. Well, Stephanie Moyer will. Jake Finch won't be there. That was a little bit of a disappointment. I would love to see Jake there. The Visconti team is not there. The 60 Josh Williams team is not there. That's a little bit of a disappointment, personally. That is. And I think it just goes to show you guys, and I said it a couple weeks ago after Nashville, the East Series, I don't want to see it next year. And this is coming from a die-hard Arca fan. I do not want to see that East Series next year because it's been a joke this season. It really is. I don't want to see anyone defend it. It really has been a joke. I want to see something else done with it. Merge it with the main division and have the East Series have its own championship within the division. If you want to keep an East division, fine. But you can't have these races with 13 cars when half the field is just main Arca Series entries anyway. And the fact that only 4 people from the West Circuit are going to be here this weekend, the East Circuit, sorry, that just shows you it's more of a joke. But either way, we still have 2 championships to look out for. Taylor Gray, he's definitely going to be on a mission this weekend for that East Championship. Whereas for the main series championship, Sanchez, I could say this is going to be one of the races that maybe Raja could struggle at. Raja only ran 9th last year. Sanchez ran a lot better than him. So this could be an opportunity race for Sanchez, another opportunity race for Daniel Dye to get some points, because Raja only has 1 race under his belt here, whereas Sanchez does have a couple of starts here. I think he made a K&N start. If I'm wrong on that, I'm sorry, but I think Sanchez does have a little bit more experience here. The other rest of the point standings, look at this. Tony Breidinger currently sits in 4th. Amber Balkin is in 5th. Greg Van Elst is in 6th. Zachary Tinkle is 7th. Corey Heim is 8th. Brad Smith is 9th. And Ryan Huff is 10th. A tough start to the season for Greg Van Elst. Pretty much already took him out of this points championship. Unfortunately, the highest he will be able to finish will only be 4th, which is a little bit disappointing considering that team is a lot better then I think fourth place in the championship. I easily think had they gotten off to the start of the season that they needed, Greg Gunnels could be a championship points contender and hopefully will be in the series next year. So again, my pick for this race, got a lot of good cars here, lots of good cars. I said, guys, earlier, my pick is the 18. There will be no live tweeting during the race from me because we will be so working with Brad. I'll try to provide as many updates as I can. If we do fall out of the race, obviously I will let you guys know. As for now, the weather looks good. Des Moines has been really getting a lot of bad weather this week, so hopefully the rain will stay away and we don't have to wait till Sunday because, for me, man, I don't want to be at the track all day and then have to wait till the next day to race. But that's just how racing goes sometimes. But I'm really excited for this race, guys. It'll be fun seeing Uncle Wayne. Hopefully I can get a picture with Wayne for you guys. We all love Wayne Peterson here. If you're an Arca fan and you don't love Wayne Peterson, you're not an Arca fan. That's just how it goes. That's the rules here on this channel. If you're not a fan of Wayne Peterson, you're not an Arca fan. Really curious to see how the girls do this weekend. Stephanie Moyer, Amber Balkin, and Tony Breidinger. I actually think that this is a race where, if they can just get the car right for Stephanie Moyer, they've had a lot of issues this season with the 0-1 car. If they can just get that car running good, I think Stephanie could actually mix it up with Amber and Tony this week. And I think the girls, I would say I would put the girls probably about 10th to about 16th. That's kind of that's where I'm going to put them where they're running. I think Stephanie, like I said, if they can just keep that car under her, I think Stephanie could easily run up with them and maybe even beat them because you never know how those girls. I don't think Amber's ever been to Iowa before. Has Tony ever been to Iowa before? I don't believe she has. So all three of these rookies, if anything, you could say that Stephanie will have the advantage because Stephanie did run this race last year, albeit it was a starting park. Lap times and track time is laps. So, yeah. I do definitely think we're going to see the low-budget guys this weekend really shine. Ron Vandermeer Jr., they have a good engine package for this weekend. Jeff McClure does provide a lot of knowledge. He's been in the sport a long time. I would expect the 44 to possibly run top 10, top 15. A lot of good stories come this weekend from the top of the field to the bottom of the field. I really think we're going to see some fun stories out of this weekend, and it makes me happy that the Arca series has this much life still in it, especially after the pandemic. It really makes me happy because it was really concerning to me that after the pandemic was over, the Arca series would just really crumble. I was worried about it. And to see where we still are makes me very excited. If you guys are wondering about the payouts for this race, again, give me 1 second. We'll pull those suckers up. So the Iowa payouts. Again, shout out to Calypso Lemonade for sponsoring the race. Winner's purse is $10,000, but with all the contingency awards, the top prize money total is $19,625. Second place is $9,000, and third place is $5,600. Once again, just like the West race, 1st through 20th will get a $200 bonus from Flow Racing. So it's kind of the incentive, guys. I really hope we do run the whole race. I will tell you guys before the start of the race on the Start and Park Twitter account whether we are running the whole race or not. But, fingers crossed, guys. Keep your fingers crossed that we have enough crew members to run the whole distance because obviously that's the goal. That's what we're here for. I don't like the Start and Park. I understand if we have to do it, we have to do it. But you guys know I love going the full distance on the track. And, we like seeing Brad run the whole race too. So just keep your fingers crossed for me, and let's hope that works out. As for the championship, guys, Raj is leading the points. I'm going to definitely be curious to see how he does at the road courses. Nick Sanchez is still my pick overall for the championship. I don't want to keep hearing that Sammy Smith is going to win the title. He doesn't have a chance. Keep that in mind. He does not have a chance. Sammy Smith will not win the championship. Will he get up to the top 5? Probably. but he will not win the championship. As for the owner standings, it's a very close battle for this weekend, as this is another wild card race. For the East Championship owner standings, the KBM 18 car currently leads by 9 points over the DGR 17, and again, 25 points over the Tyler Young 02 entry. It does shock me that the 60 Josh Williams entry is not here, as the 60 entry for Josh Williams was sitting fourth in the owner's points. The 11 entry for Andy Hillenberg will take over fourth place, and the other Andy Hillenberg entries, followed by Brad Smith, will all move up quite a few positions after this race. As for the Arca, main Arca Series Owners Championship, we will pull that up in a second. It is a very close race, as the 20 of the Billy Venerini team are looking to keep their championship after having a rough couple races, not performing as good as we thought they would. They lead by just 6 points over the 6 Max Siegel entry. The 2 Max Siegel entry is in third, 10 points behind. The fourth place entry is the 43 of the Murray Gallagher 43 team, 13 points behind. And the 15 Bill Venerini entry is almost 20 points behind. And the one I keep talking about, guys, is the KBM 18 entry, which is 45 points behind. I don't see that 45-point gap being made up. So you could easily say, even though Kyle Busch loves to win those owners championships, I don't think the 18 has any shot. 45 points behind, and we're already almost halfway through this season. I think it's safe to say that, Drew Dollar kind of screwed. I don't want to be too rude, but Drew Dollar really put that 18 team in a hole that I don't think they're going to be able to climb themselves out of to win this owners championship. They're going to try, and they might get close, but with how solid the Rev Racing teammates have been this season, it's definitely going to be a close battle for sure, and I just don't think they're going to get there. As you guys have said, you guys can put your picks in the chat below or in the comment section, whatever you guys want to do. But again, guys, just like the West race, I strongly recommend this race because it's a race that I can't tell you the winner. And that's what I like to see. And I love to repeat that because it's just, you don't see it all the time. Usually in Arca, you know who's going to win. But when you can't predict the winner, that's always a good thing. And guys, it's just going to be a huge weekend of racing. I hate that I'm not going to be able to see the West race live. But at the end of the day, I love being back at the track. Continue to support the 48 team. Go follow Brad. If you have a Twitter, please go give Brad Smith a follow. We're not the quickest team out there, but, we like to have a lot of fun. We do a lot with a very little. If you guys love chassis history, we're running an old Penske car. If you guys didn't know that, yeah, Brad Smith's car is Penske chassis, I believe. PRS 69, I think that's what it was. Yeah, so we have a lot of fun, and I keep up to date with the Arca Racing Twitter account, the Start and Park Twitter account this weekend. We're all going to be very busy. We're all going to have a lot of fun. I just want to thank you guys again for tuning in to another episode of the Arca Racing podcast. You guys bless me so much. You guys, I love you guys. All your support. We're almost at 300 subs. We're literally 2 away. So if anyone, we can get to 300 subs, man. And then of course, our next giveaway will be at 500 subs. So keep liking and subscribing the videos, guys. I want to do these giveaways. I want to give my support back to you guys because it's you guys that make this possible. Anyway, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I got another video coming up. I hope you guys like it. It's about an Arca driver that probably almost all of you guys haven't heard of. So I really hope you enjoy that video. That one will be coming out in the next couple of months. But till then, you guys have a great rest of your Wednesday night. Don't do anything too stupid. And we'll catch you all next week with the Arca Racing podcast. But I am happy to announce right at the end of the show, Backmarker Battles will be back tomorrow live. Not sure what time yet, but follow the Start and Park account. I will be posting the time that we'll be doing that. And I'm glad that Backmarker Battles is back. So much fun content. And I love being here with you guys. Thanks again. Enjoy your night, and we'll catch you all real soon. So long, guys.